Our next guest says Trump, like Ronald Reagan, is one of the most impactful presidents of our lifetime. Reagan took on communism at a time when academics in America had already given up. When he called them the evil empire, they cringed and were fearful of reprisals. Well, Reagan said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall. But actually, there were many things that President Trump did that no other president could do. 6 presidents sought energy independence. Only Trump got it. 3 presidents promised prison reform. Only Trump did it. 5 presidents promised to move the American embassy to Jerusalem, including George W. Bush. Only President Trump did it. Trump renegotiated the corrupt NAFTA trade deal, and Trump had the lowest unemployment on record before the Chinese virus. In the end, both men were feared and respected, and it allowed them to bring home hostages. When Reagan was elected, the Iranians gave up their hostages rather than face the consequences. One of President Trump's greatest accomplishments that compares to President Reagan in his negotiation of the release of 55 hostages from all over the world. You don't know much about them because the fake news media didn't really cover it. Well, joining me now, presidential historian, former advisor to President George H.W. Bush, and author of the book Inside Trump's White House, Doug Wead is with us. Doug, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Grant. Great to be with you.
So, Doug, I didn't want to do to you what anchors used to me when I was a reporter in the field and steal all your material there as I let it. But there's a lot of accomplishments, and I didn't even touch on all of them, which brings me to why I wanted you to come on. I think President Trump is just as good as Reagan, if not better. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, they're very different personalities. I had the privilege of interviewing both of them and Reagan many, many times, but they shared some qualities that helped them succeed as presidents. Both were optimistic, as you pointed out. I mean, it was a dark time, you pointed out, for Reagan coming in. The Soviet Union was in ascendancy. School teachers in Holland were saying to their students, it doesn't matter where you go to the university because the world's going to end in a nuclear conflagration before you get there. And when Donald Trump came to power, there was great fear about Islamic terrorism. You'll remember Obama would not even allow the terms to be used. His strategy was to downgrade the terrorists and not provoke them and not let them get recruits. He told Nick Kristof of the New York Times that the call to prayer at sunset is the prettiest sound on earth, did everything he could, gave billions to the Iranian government, and soon we saw ISIS roaring through the Middle East using American vehicles to take over. So everyone was afraid, and no one wanted to say what they were. They asked Donald Trump on the campaign trail in Iowa, what will you do with ISIS? And he said, I'd bomb the hell out of them. And that's what he did.
And that is exactly what we all wanted to hear, because we know the way you defeat evil people like that is taking it right to them. You know, President Reagan defeated communism, basically. President Trump defeated ISIS. And then you have talk of peace in the Middle East. We're not there yet. But he got a lot more peace deals than every other president ever did before him. And really quite amazing when you think of it. And he never gets the credit, President Trump.
Yeah, 40 years. If you think of that, Grant, it's been 40 years since we've had a president who presided over an entire term of peace and prosperity. And that's the gold standard. That's what we want, is peace and prosperity. And he's the first president in 40 years not to have started a war or invaded someone. That's hard to pull off. That's why nobody's done it in all these years.
You know, it was one of President Trump's, I believe, proudest moments. He talked about it today. Let's roll that soundbite for you.
I am especially proud to be the first president in decades who has started no new wars. Above all, we have reasserted the sacred idea that in America, the government answers to the people.
So important. You know, wars were started. We talk about oil and all those things. What did President Trump do? He got America energy independent. Again, so many presidents talked about it. We're energy independent. That is about peace as well as keeping the cost of our lives down here in the United States.
Yeah, it's very much tied to strategic advantage. I had Gerald Ford in my home on many occasions. He would have cut off his right arm to have energy independence, but Trump got it. And COVID-19, that's the sleeper. That's a great project, perhaps the greatest project of the public and private sector coming together since the building of the atomic bomb. And the critics said he'd never do it. It would take 3 years just to test it. He did it in 6 months. They called him a liar, but he proved them wrong, as he did again and again as president.
Isn't that the truth? Doug Wead, I appreciate you coming on the program tonight. Really, it's sadly a historic night as we move into tomorrow, but I appreciate you taking some time for us, as always. Thank you.
Thanks, Grant. Thanks.
My friends are calling me all the time and writing me and saying, "You've disappeared from television. We can't find you. We don't see you anymore." This is the only way we've figured out how to beat the censors. If you subscribe to this channel, hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell, you'll get notification when I'm on TV. Otherwise, you won't get my Instagrams, my messages on Facebook. It's censorship. So I want to hear from you. I want you to be able to hear from me.